Hey guys, Philosopher here, and today I have my efficient investment guide. Now, I know some of you are going to be saying like, hey, what the heck? Philosopher's some big whale. He spends money in the game. There's no way he invested efficiently. Well, let me tell you guys something. I got here very quickly to the end game. I got here, frankly, by investing very leanly and very efficiently so that by the time I entered DD4, and I was one of the first 10 people to enter DD4, I had 7.8 million TCP, and the other people who entered all had over 18 million TCP. And now I'm in an alliance where I am by far the smallest person in it in terms of collection power, competing against people with larger collection power. And so certainly you can't get as fast and as far in the game without whaling out. But no matter where you're at in the game, if you're a whale, you should be whaling efficiently. If you are free to play, it's even more important to be efficient. It's a challenge if you're free to play to try to compete with the pay-to-win players, and the way to beat them is by being more efficient. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how to play this game efficiently, how to get the most out of what they give you. So let's get right to it, okay? Now, here are some of the general principles I want you to understand. First of all, this is a resource management game. That's what it is. They have all these heroes and their strategy to it and all that, but primarily it's a resource management game. They give you too few resources, and you have to figure out where to invest them. So do not invest without a plan. Now, here's another word of advice about plans. Don't just follow what some content creator tells you, including me. First of all, check the date on these videos and infographics. A lot of times you end up watching a video from 6 months ago or an infographic from a year ago, totally out of date. That's the first thing. But no matter what, get on Discord, talk to good players, get a lot of feedback. Make sure you know your stuff before you start putting your resources into a particular direction. There's no rush. This is not a Twitch game where you're not playing StarCraft where you've got to quickly build your units or else the enemy's going to overrun you. Spend time to figure out your plan. So what should the plan be? Well, one thing I will just say, it should be something where you are actually saving up for a goal. One thing that people hate, they tell me, I get this feedback, Philosopher, well, I don't want to save. I don't want to hoard. That sucks. That's boring. You know what? Saving in this game keeps your options open. And here's what I mean by that. This is the point that I want you to get out of that, all right? I have, for example, in the game right now, lots of resources saved up. I got all of these, bio resources, right? Or I have, these catalysts or whatever it may be, right? SBCs. Those are not wasted. You know what those are? Those are power. They give me the ability at any time to click buttons and bring characters up immediately. Now, sometimes I'm doing that for content creation, but a lot of times I've done that in the past because I suddenly needed to vault into DD4 or I needed to quickly bring a team up for war. You having the gear at your disposal or the credits or anything else gives you the power to spend them on what you need when you need it. If you use them, you have committed yourself forever to that purchase, and you can't take it back. So just keep that in mind. Now, here's another general principle. If a character is already doing what you need it to do, don't upgrade. So many times people are like, oh, I love Phylavel, Kestrel, whatever the character is, I'm going all in. I'm just going to upgrade. Well, first thing to ask yourself is there anything that this character isn't doing for me? So in other words, if, a lot of people right now are putting all this resources into Gamora, is Gamora not doing something you need? Like, in other words, are you clearing the raid nodes you need to clear? Are you winning an arena when you need to win an arena or whatever it is, war? If your team is always winning, there's no need to upgrade. Don't just upgrade for the sake of upgrading to make the character bigger, to make the numbers bigger. Save your resources and only invest in characters that you need for a particular reason. And then prioritize the game modes that reward you the most. Now, traditionally, that is Dark Dimension by far. okay? Because Dark Dimension, people always talk about arena raids. Dark Dimension, when it comes down to it, gives you an insane amount of gear. You can just forget the characters. Well, even if you don't like Doom, right? Just take a look at the rewards, right? You can just look at, here's GD4, tons and tons, 9,800 random orange gear, 20 random completed pieces. Then you get to 14,000, just a ton and ton of gear. That is always the number one priority, no matter what. Because, by the way, putting the gear on those characters to get through the Dark Dimension that gear doesn't disappear. You keep it at the end. You keep those characters, and you get the free gear at the end of the Dark Dimension. But then after that, it usually was arena. And I think for free-to-play players, it is important to have those cores. I think even for spenders, it's important to have free cores and more cores and arena currency. But Raid is becoming more and more important now due to the fact that Blue ISO and Silver Surfer Shards are gated around Raid. The other game modes, whether it's Greek raids or RTA or Blitz or other things, are less important. Don't be in a rush. There's no reason to be in some mad rush to get somewhere. If you are the sort of person that cannot wait for things, Scopely is going to get a lot of your money. So the way to invest in this game, whether it's money or time, is to put the time in. If you're free to play, put the money in, or put both. But whatever you're going to do, put that in and be patient. Be patient. And then here's another key one. Take advantage of the free stuff. So many times when I've helped new players, I spend a good amount of time on the Voltage Sauce beginner Discord helping out new players. And one thing I find is that people will follow some plan that they've had, and then something drops in their lap, right? And they don't take advantage of that stuff. So, for example, they're planning on building Wave 1 Avengers, then they get Kestrel for free, and they don't work that into their plan. Or there's great milestones in the game or a great event, and they're not focused on, let's say, quirky characters to get stuff from the event. Get all the free stuff the game gives you, and then take advantage of the free characters you get. Build your plan around that stuff. And then plan ahead so you don't have bottlenecks. So one of the most annoying bottlenecks right now in the game is G13 uniques, something that I've told the devs many times that they've got to do something about. All right, so those are these things here, this Uru or whatever it is. Well, the smart thing to do is figure out in advance, okay, I'm going to DD4, I'm going to need a lot of these for, Yo-Yo or whatever the character is, and then get the ones that you need. And if you have to, even refresh the store so you have more chances to do it. Get them in advance. When you hear a new character's release, you're going to get Adam Warlock. I will tell you, I've been buying up this miasma. I needed, I think, 65, so I've been buying up this miasma because I knew Adam Warlock was coming out. You can go to msf.gg, you can go to the msf.gg bot and find out these uniques for all the characters, including the characters that just come out, and that is very, very, very helpful in terms of planning, okay? And that's the case for everything. I know, for example, that Captain Sam and some skill characters are coming out next patch, so I have been farming skill gear. You look at what you're low. I'm always trying to figure out, what am I low on? What am I building up a store of in terms of gear so I'm ready for the future, okay? That's essentially what you should be trying to do to play this game in an efficient manner. So this way, you don't have the bottlenecks. You don't experience them as much because you are saving up and farming up. Okay? That's the idea. The other thing is, and this is, I call it a general principle because if you care only about getting ahead, the savvy move is to join a good alliance where you're a small overperformer. And here's what I mean. I've been in a number of alliances over the last 16 months that I've been playing this game. I've almost always been the smallest member in terms of collection power, but performed above my collection power in war and in arena, and so they kept me around. They were happy to have me around, right? So if you build your roster super efficiently, they'll be like, well, Philosopher's got the smallest roster, but his teams are actually really good because he's got the right teams. He doesn't have stuff, bloat on his roster, stuff that's not helpful. So if you're, particularly if you're a newer player or a free-to-play player, invest your resources in a smart way so that even though you have smaller resources than other people, you can get into a better alliance because they're going to look at your war teams. Most alliances are looking at your raid teams and your war teams. If those are up to snuff, you can get in even if you have a smaller collection power. That's the savvy way of getting ahead. And then here's the thing. The most important general principle I would say is invest deep and then wide. And here's what I mean. When you first start this game, you're going to invest in one team that you can use in arena, you can use in your raids, and so on and so forth. You'll have to branch out for various campaign events. You only invest other characters as needed to get through the campaign. Then you only need to go wide, really, for Dark Dimension, until you get to the point where you're doing Doom Raid or you have to get focused on Alliance War. And here's a tip. When I was talking about prioritizing game modes, I did not talk about Alliance War. You know why? Because even though I love Alliance War and I'm happy to create videos and give you tips on it, and I'm the war captain for my alliance and all that, the rewards don't matter as much from war as they do these other game modes. So as long as your alliance keeps you around and isn't going to kick you, then you actually really don't need to worry so much about the reward. So, I mean, to give you an example, when you look at the rewards here, look at the difference between winning and losing. The difference between winning and losing is like nothing. It's like 5 ABCs, no T4, 200 of these credits, 600 of those, right? And that's the same no matter what league you're in. You can go down to gold 4, and you're in the same boat, right? What's the difference between winning and losing? 5 ABCs? Who cares? Don't get so focused on a game mode that the rewards don't really matter. As long as your alliance doesn't kick you out, build and focus on your main teams. You're better off having, getting into those Dark Dimensions faster, getting your arena team bigger, getting your raid teams bigger, so that this way you're able to perform well in the raid nodes where you get more rewards. The nodes, the game modes that are going to be more important for alliances. All right. Next, what to invest in. Okay, this is now we talked about general principles. What are you going to invest your stuff in? Well, first of all, energy. Energy is the best way to solve bottlenecks. I get people asking me about whaling. I don't do as many of that. I probably at some point will do a whaling video, I suppose, for a follow-on on this. But whether you're whaling or whether you're free to play, spending your resources on energy is absolutely pretty much always your best return on investment in this game. And I'll give you an example of why. Okay, let's look here at what I'm getting for my energy, right? I spend whatever it is, 10 energy, whatever it is, right? You get experience. So if you're not max level, you're getting experience. You get gold, which is a bottleneck. I get purple gear, bottleneck. Orange unique, bottleneck. Orange gear, right? This is a very bottleneck thing. Basic orbs. Basic orbs give me shards. They give me gold, etc. And training mats that are a bottleneck. If you whale out or if you use your cores, if you're free to play, you get, let's say, whatever cores in arena. If you're using it on these energy refreshes up here, and I do the 50s and 100s every day, but no matter what, everyone should be doing the 50s every day. This is the way to do it. And frankly, even for people who are like whaling out on energy offers is often very efficient. The other thing that's wonderful about energy is it allows you to take care of whatever the bottleneck is you have at the moment, whether it's trying to get shards up for the next legendary to get the characters, or it's like, oh crap, I'm low on skill gear, or oh no, I need some sort of unique or whatever it is. You can always solve that. You can often solve that problem with energy. Just one of the very best investments, most efficient investments in this game, in my opinion. Now, here's a key point. Gear is just as important, if not more important, than shards. So when I first started playing this game, I was so focused on collecting all the characters. And so I was getting all of the characters unlocked. I'm like, I want to try to unlock every character. And then I realized very quickly at a certain point, I'm like, okay, I have lots of characters, but I can't use them because they're all like level 1. They're all like gear tier 3 or something. Ultimately, what I am focused on in my account is, getting the good characters up as high as I can. So, you guys now, you see this like hyper end game account. Even though I'm the smallest account in my alliance, it's still a humongo account. I know that. But at the bottom, I got, these characters got nothing, right? Who cares? I mean, who cares about collecting Shield Trooper or Jessica Jones or Ultimus or Aim Infector? Like right now in the game, these characters don't matter. They might as well not be in my roster. I don't need them in raids. I don't need them in war. I don't need them anywhere. So eventually maybe I'll need them if they get reworked. But particularly if you don't have all the resources that I have here, you need to focus your attention. And for even if you're a mid-game player or a newer player, sometimes getting the gear you need, even if it's purple gear to get past a certain bottleneck where you're like, hey, I really need to get my Thor up because I'm having trouble in raids or getting in the certain node in Cosmic or whatever, that is often more important than getting more and more shards. A lot of times people watch these videos like, where it's like farm this legendary, then farm these characters for that legendary, and then farm for this legendary. That is not how the game works. It's not a collection. It's not like a Pokemon where you're trying to collect a bunch of legendaries. It's about getting the characters that actually move the ball forward for you as strong as they can be. And that's the next point here. It's not all about the legendaries. One of the biggest myths about this game, and it's propagated by people who should know better, is that this game is all about, I've heard this before, it's all about the legendaries. There's these other games, maybe that is the case, but in this game, I will tell you right now, this game is not all about the legendaries. So if you look now at the legendaries in the game, most of the best characters in the game are not listed here. I mean, when you think of what the best characters are in the game, it's, characters like Kestrel, Doom, Surfer, whatever. None of them are here. Even the characters people are jazzed up about right now, Gamora and so forth, not here. Ebony Maw, good character, not the best. Same with Doc Ock, Nick Fury, Black Bolt, Invisible Woman, Shuri, Magneto, Jubilee, etc. Jubilee's not even the most important character on her own team. Okay, Phoenix has been power crept, Star-Lord, Iron Man. These are not the most important characters in the game. Don't get so worked up about getting legendaries that you are not focused on the broader plan. It can be more important to get other characters that are really good, like getting that Kestrel up or whatever it is, than it can be to be investing in one of these legendaries, unlocking more legendaries. You don't get a special brownie point for unlocking a legendary. Unlocking Nick Fury doesn't get you something special in this game. If it was, it would probably just be a Hulk shard, right? Given the rewards in this game. What you want to do is get the characters up that actually are going to help you. Okay? Next. You want to go hard for campaign event energy. And what I mean by that is that one of the best and probably the most free-to-play friendly way of releasing characters are when they do these campaign events. So we recently had one with Phi Lavelle where you could earn the Phi Lavelle shards. Here they had a special energy that you could actually use cores and get additional energy. Those are a fantastic way to get characters. You usually not only get some new hot character that just came out, that you can almost always get to 4 stars. If you do the 50 core energy refreshes, you'll get the character to 4 stars. Pretty much guaranteed if you do the math. If you do the math, and you get all these other character shards, it's a very good deal for free-to-play players. It's a good deal for any player to invest in that energy. Make sure that you are getting this stuff. Even if you're a whale, like why spend money on offers when you could just get this stuff? This is a much better way of doing it, right? It's a much more efficient way of getting the characters just to get a bunch of that energy. All right. Now let's talk about spending smart. And when I say spending, I don't mean money. I mean resources. And here's a big one. Taking advantage of freebies. So here's what I mean. In this game, if you are not a person with an insane amount of resources, then don't be focused on getting the characters to 7 stars. Here's what I mean by that. I've got a lot of characters to 7 stars. I know you probably see content creators that do, right? But you know what happens when you get a character to 7 stars? You end up getting all of these extra shards, right? I'm up to 819 shards of America Chavez. I just haven't pressed click to rank her up because I don't really care about the character. But this game gives you tons of free shards from basic orbs and from blitzes and from other stuff. stopping earlier and letting the characters just naturally get up based on the freebies you're getting is a lot more efficient way to do it. So if you really want to be efficient, don't rush to get your characters to 7 stars unless they're the characters you're using all the time in every game mode. Focus, take the stuff that the game does give you and use it, and only go out of your way and invest rare resources when you have something that the game isn't giving you for free. Okay? Next thing. Don't rush to the Ultimate Store, and this is very similar to the same thing. So here's the point I'm trying to make. Sometimes people are in such a hurry to get these characters to 7 star, and you know what ends up happening when you do? You get lots of this currency up here. And I'm saving this currency because you know what? I'm hoping it gets reworked because this store is total garbage. I play other games like Galaxy Heroes where the store, the equivalent store is awesome. But here, the store absolutely sucks. So if you're free to play or if you just have limited number of characters, the Ultimate Orb is actually a pretty good deal because you get some characters that you might actually need. Not Ultimus, who's not very good, but you might get Anti-Venom or Bishop or whatever it is that you actually need out of this orb. It's RNG. It's not awesome, but at least it's something. These gear orbs are a bad deal. And for me, I have Ultimus up to 7 stars, and I have the characters I need. So I just save this currency. But you don't want to be here. So if you're super efficient, if you want to be efficient in this game, don't rush to get all the characters to 7 stars. Don't rush to get Ultimus food. Just get the characters up to a reasonable star level and focus on gear, which you can farm with energy, which we already talked about. Okay, next. Plan your gold spending around the high roller milestones. Very, very, very important point. So now you guys have seen me. You're like, oh, well, Flosser, I see you spend a lot of gold. Well, you know why? Because I do this content creation crap. Before I did this, I never spent more than in a day than 2.7 million. Ever, ever, ever. Okay, I would literally count out and I would click one by one each of the little training modules to make sure I didn't get over 2.7 million. And if you're, let's say free to play, you might stop at 1 million to make sure you have a surplus of gold and you build it over time. Or you stop at, some other level that seems appropriate to you. This is a good spot because you stop getting cores there. But you can stop anywhere, but you want to stop at a milestone so you're maximizing what you are getting for free for spending the gold. Plan your gold spending. Spend an amount of gold that makes sense. So for me, what I usually do every day is I try to spend up to about 1.6 or so right after the reset, and then the rest of it I go naturally up to 2.7, spending it on stuff in the supply store, G13 uniques and so forth. All right. Generally, I would save gear and ISO until you can go up a full tier. Now, there can be differences of opinion on this. If you're 100% sure that you're bringing a character up, 1,000% sure, you're like, yes, I just unlocked Doom, and I can't get him fully up to gear tier 13 or 14, but I want to put a piece on him. It is what it is. That's fine. But I will tell you, one of the biggest mistakes I've seen people make is they get excited like, oh, I'm going to bring Black Bolt to DD4, and then they start putting their gear on Black Bolt. They get 2 pieces on him, and then a new Legendary comes out, and they're like, oh, I want to bring Adam Warlock now, but I already put 3 pieces on Black Bolt, so I'm kind of committed. Don't be that guy. There's no rush. Unless you really need that one piece on that one character for some reason that I don't know, wait, get the full tier, and then bring them up when you have more information and can make a more informed decision. When I was racing in DD4, I would not bring those characters up to gear tier 15 until the exact moment when I had the full team and I was ready to enter the node. Okay? The only exception to this that I will say is if you are an endgame player and you have a piece of gear in a tier that's purple. So what I will do is when I get a character to gear tier 14 or 13, wherever it is, I will click each one of these and see if they're purple. If it's a purple gear, because I have an excess of purple gear, I'll just throw that on. But other than that, I go up 1 tier at a time. Same with ISO. You want to save your ISO till you can actually get up a tier. And for me, I usually go right from 1 to 3 to 5. Some people like to get the 2 or the 4, but really you don't use. That's just 10% of base health. It's really not as much as you might think. So I just wait till I can get up to ISO 3 and then to ISO 5. All right, next. Save energy and refresh nodes for double drops. There are double drop events in the game, whether it's for Wakandans, Mercs, etc., or for example, a legendary. If you know, for example, that there's a legendary event coming and you need to, you're free to play and you really want to get as many, let's say, X Factor shards as possible, save some energy during the day and don't spend it, and just save up energy until the double drop hits so you can refresh that node to use that energy and get more, for your bang for your buck. It's common sense. Now, here's another key point. Spend T4s and gold promotion credits very, very, very carefully. It's an important point. So the number one rarest currency in this game is gold promos. 100% at this time in June of 2021, the rarest currency in the game. They've loosened it slightly, but not much. I literally treat these things like solid gold. I am so careful and spend so much time deliberating. Right now, I could easily bring Gamora up to 7 stars. I could bring Kestrel up to 7 stars. I am sitting here and like, well, Kestrel's doing everything I need her to do. Gamora's doing everything I need her to do. Remember some of my general principles? I'm going to wait and see how the meta develops, etc. And you may say, well, that's silly, Philosopher. You're sitting on these resources. Well, you know what? Whenever there's a key meta shift, I'm ready with my gold promos. I immediately in December brought Longshot up to 7 stars, or January. I immediately have brought up, characters like Kestrel and Silver Surfer up to 6 red stars. I always have the gold promos because a main reason is because I'm very, very chintzy about spending them. Now, T4, similar thing. You're going to get more T4s if you're a super end game. I get a lot more than I used to. But everybody has fewer T4s than they want. And what I would say is, don't just follow some content creator's guide. A lot of times people just make those guides before they've even played the characters. Really ask around, ask smart players. Go to good Discords where there's really smart players, not just the main MSF Discord. Ask around. My Discord's linked below. You can go to, but there's a lot of great Discords out there. Ask players, really understand, make sure you understand what you're investing in, because we don't have as much T4 currency as we want, and we always have new characters coming. You're always trying to play catch up there. You want to make sure that the key characters you use the most have their key abilities T4'd. All right? All right. Now, war currency, you want to spend it on rare uniques and characters only. And here's what I mean by rare uniques. Right now, maybe G15 uniques are the rarest, or where are the, this is probably the point in which they're the least rare. They're less rare than they used to be. But let's say right when DD4 came out, they were super rare. You certainly spend war currency there. Spending war currency on characters you need, like whether it's Longshot or Sinister, whatever characters that you need for what you're trying to do, that makes a lot of sense to me. But you shouldn't be spending war currency on SBCs. You shouldn't be spending war currency on little golden jizz bottles or whatever it may be. You should be spending it on, I don't even know what those things are called. But you should be spending it on split X gene. You should be spending it on only the rarest uniques and characters. That's all. That after the gold promos, after the T4s, war currency is the next most valuable currency in the game. Then, if you're a newer player, Blitz and Raid Orbs are more efficient than focus farming unless you're on the clock. So here's what I mean by that. In the Raid store, you can buy these individual characters for 1,400 credits, or you go to the Raid Orb, which, by the way, costs, I think it's like 900. I think it's cheaper. Plus, you get not just 5 shards, but you get 9. So you get 9 random shards of random characters that are in the raid store. Plus, you get that for 900 instead of for 1,400. So it's just a way better deal over time. So, and if you just buy orbs instead, eventually you'll just get all the characters in the raid store to 7 stars. So I did that until I got them all to 6 stars is what I ended up doing. Unless you're at a spot where you're like, oh my goodness, I'm very close to this legendary event that starts in 5 days and I need to get up a particular character. That's the more efficient way to do it. Same with Blitz. With Blitz, it's not cheaper. per se, but you get this gold for free, which is awfully nice since everybody needs more gold all the time in this game. And then this is a key piece of advice. Don't use Elite 4 or 5 orbs or promo credits for characters you don't have at that yellow star level. I have people asking me all the time, should I bring Kestrel up to 7 red stars? I don't have her at 7 yellow stars, but I want to bring her up to 7 red stars. Why? Like you, as I've said before, having resources keeps your options open. By the time you get that 7th yellow star on Kestrel, there may be all these new characters you want to spend those gold promos on. So save those promos. Similarly with Elite 4 and 5 orbs, if you're a free-to-play player and you know you're not going to get this new character to 5 stars anytime soon, why are you spending your Elite 5 orb on a character that you're not even going to unlock for a year or something? Think about it before you spend that. I mean, look, you do what you want. It's a game. But if you're spending your super rare orbs or your gold promo credits on characters that don't even make use of them, I think that's a complete waste of resources. Now, towards the end here, one other key thing I will say, as you get more and more end game, don't be afraid to buy gear with gold. So right now I'm at a point in the game where I don't have all the good characters are upgraded for me. And putting more gear into my good characters is actually, very costly because there's so little gear. So one thing that I'll do each day is I'll bring up levels with characters, but then I will spend gold on things like this or this or this. Now, that's not the case for everybody, but it's, I'm low on skill right now. I'm low on focus catalysts. For me, I understand a lot of people, are like, I have 30 focus catalysts, but I like to always have 1,000 plus on hand at all time of all my catalysts. And focus and damage are the lightest. So are the lightest for me right now. So I'm constantly watching this stuff, and I'll just spend on this. Why? Because I'm taking a resource gold, and I'm using it on something that's a bottleneck, particularly for G13 uniques for people. Okay? So that is the efficient investment guide. I hope this was useful to you. I hope, even though I'm somebody who's a content creator and I'm whaling and all this stuff, I was able to give you some tips. What I will just say is, ultimately, this is a game. You want to have fun. You want to invest in the characters you find fun. But this is a game that is meant to frustrate you, that is meant to not give you what you need, not give you what you want in order to progress in the game. And you will ultimately, in my view, have more enjoyment and certainly more success within the game, if you care about success within the game, by adopting an efficient approach towards saving and spending resources. All right, guys, if you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel. If you have comments, put them below or go to my Discord. That's linked below. Lots of great discussion there about how to spend and what to spend on. And hey, if you really want advice about spending and efficient spending, go to my Twitch stream. We stream most weeknights on there. That's linked below as well.